somewhere in the fog of the North Atlantic. With no coastline in sight and clouds hiding the sun completely, a Viking navigator reportedly held up a crystal and found their heading anyway. Old Norse sagas mention a tool called a solarstein, a sunstone, used for navigation in exactly this kind of weather. For a long time, most historians assumed it was simply legend. Then a real shipwreck and a real crystal gave that legend some genuine physics to stand on. This is the story of the Viking Sunstone, a plausible, ancient navigation tool built on a genuine, if not fully proven, piece of optical science. Between roughly 800 and 1050 AD, Norse sailors crossed enormous stretches of open ocean, reaching Iceland, Greenland, and eventually the coast of North America centuries before Columbus. They did this with no magnetic compass. The magnetic compass would not reach northern Europe for a few more centuries. Instead, Norse navigators relied heavily on the position of the sun and stars. That method has an obvious weakness. The North Atlantic is notorious for dense fog, heavy overcast, and long stretches where the sun simply is not visible for days at a time. Several Old Norse sagas, written down starting in the 13th century, describe a solution, a solarstein, a sunstone, that could reportedly be used to locate the sun's position even when it was hidden by clouds or fog. For centuries, this detail was treated by most historians as folklore, an intriguing saga detail with no clear physical explanation and no surviving Viking-era example to study directly. Then, in 2013, researchers studying the wreck of a 16th century Elizabethan ship that sank off the island of Alderney in the English Channel found something unexpected among the debris. A chunk of Iceland spar, a naturally clear, colorless form of calcite crystal found near the ship's navigation equipment, far from any known natural use as jewelry or cargo. Iceland spar has a genuinely unusual optical property. It is birefringent, meaning it splits a single beam of light into two separate beams as it passes through the crystal. More importantly for navigation, it is sensitive to the polarization of skylight, the subtle pattern the sky's light forms based on the sun's position, a pattern that persists even through cloud cover and light fog, though not through heavy fog or when the sun is very close to the horizon. By rotating the crystal and watching how the double image it produces changes in brightness, a trained user can, in the right conditions, estimate the direction of the sun, even when it cannot be seen directly. This is real, testable physics, not speculation. Researchers, notably a team led by physicist Guy Ropars in France, have built working demonstrations and tested the technique's accuracy under real overcast sky conditions. The results showed the method can genuinely work, with accuracy good enough to be useful for open ocean navigation, in the hands of someone properly trained in reading the crystal's subtle light patterns. But here is where honesty matters. No confirmed Viking-era sunstone has ever been found on an actual Norse ship or at a Norse archaeological site. The Alderney crystal is centuries too late, and English, not Norse. What the Alderney find actually proves is that Iceland spar was still being used for navigation purposes centuries after the Viking Age, which lends real circumstantial support to the idea, without directly proving the Vikings themselves used it this way. The saga references remain our best textual evidence, but sagas were often written down 2 or 3 centuries after the events they describe, mixing genuine historical memory with embellishment and legend. Some historians remain skeptical that Norse sailors used a systematic optical technique at all, suggesting the saga Sunstone may simply describe a general navigational aid or landmark stone, later reinterpreted by modern readers through the lens of the Alderney discovery. This connects to a real related mystery, a fragment of a wooden disc found at a Norse settlement in Greenland called the Unartok disc, which some researchers believe may have functioned as a sun compass, used together with a sunstone to fix a ship's bearing. That interpretation, too, is genuinely debated. The disc fragment is damaged, and its exact original markings and function remain a matter of ongoing scholarly reconstruction rather than settled fact. What we can say with confidence is this: Norse sailors achieved open ocean navigation across the North Atlantic that is genuinely difficult to explain using sun and star observation alone, given how often that region is covered in fog and cloud. A working optical tool, like the Sunstone, would neatly explain that gap. The physics checks out. The saga references exist. What is still missing is the one piece of direct archaeological proof, an actual Viking Age crystal, found on an actual Viking Age ship. Iceland's spar deposits, large enough to have been sourced by Norse traders, did exist within their known trading networks, particularly from Iceland itself, which at least makes the raw material plausibly available to them. So the Sunstone sits in a genuinely interesting scientific middle ground. Not confirmed fact, not dismissed as pure myth either, but a real, physically sound hypothesis waiting on one more shipwreck to settle the question. Every Norse longship that reached Greenland or the shores of North America did so through fog, storm, and open water, using tools and techniques we are still working to fully understand 1,000 years later. If you had to cross an ocean with no compass and no visible sun, would you trust a piece of rotating crystal to get you home? Tell us what you think in the comments. Subscribe, because next episode we head to ancient Egypt, where engineers moved single blocks of stone weighing hundreds of tons, without wheels, without pulleys as we know them, and without machines of any kind.